Before I start, I'd like to thank the panel for, and the committee for inviting me. But mostly I'd like to make sure I dedicate my words today to my son and his young family who is suffering right now from the effects of post-traumatic stress disorder. I spoke with him a couple weeks ago and told him, I outlined for him what I was going to say, and as he was done crying, he said, "You just read my life in 10 minutes." So let me begin. This is a hard subject to discuss in 10 minutes, but let's see what we can do. As Tanya said, part of the problem with PTSD is the fear that it evokes. The best way to combat fear is through education. So let me explain what the American Psychiatric Association describes as PTSD. But please remember, I know there are more nurses in this room than me, that this is based on the medical model, which means something is wrong. Something bad has happened to your body. According to the APA, PTSD is a psychiatric disorder that occurs following the experience or witnessing a traumatic event. Again, it's based on the fact that something has gone wrong in your system. I believe it is better explained as the natural adaptation of the mind under tremendous stress.
Here, here.
Thank you. The mind tries to process what it's experiencing, and the trauma is so great and the information too overwhelming, and the brain can't integrate it. The attempts to integrate or process the event causes physical and chemical reactions. That lays the groundwork for PTSD. PTSD is not a sign of weakness. It is just simply put as the brain attempting to process what it's witnessed. It can cause other mental and physical health problems. As Tanya explained, her husband developed OCD from the PTSD. The most common effect is depression. PTSD has been called many different names over the years. It has been called nostalgia, soldier's heart, battle fatigue, and shell shock. All the same. Unlike acute combat stress, however, PTSD develops over time, and like an untreated infection, it will become a time bomb. The current administration's policy has been called public disengagement. It has deprived the American people of seeing the staggering costs of this war, but more importantly, it has deprived the returning soldier and their families a time for reconnection and a society under which recovery is possible. To this day, the Department of Defense denies the connection between PTSD and suicide. Yet the suicide rate hit a high last year of 101 active duty soldiers. That grim statistic is only part of the story. For example, in 2005, in the 6 months following the deployment at Fort Lewis, troops were involved in 7 homicides and 3 suicides. Look at any base post-deployment, and you will find the same type of statistics. One of the docs at the VA calls PTSD frozen consciousness. Since the brain cannot interpret the experience, it attempts to do so again and again and again, causing the survivor to live with it over and over and over. That leaves the soldier drained, frustrated, and angry. They begin to feel out of control and may turn to avoidance or rage to regulate their symptoms. The family then becomes secondary trauma victims. These intense bursts of activity during the re-experiencing of the flashbacks are actually believed to lay down new brain paths, neural paths in your brain. And they become the culprits in all of the symptoms seen in PTSD. Early intervention in a safe environment is the key to recovery for the soldier and their family.